can literally remember in my apartment in Los Angeles on my knees crying, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like, I'm just like stuck. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, I just need to figure this out. And then who would have known that less than 5 years later, I would be married with a child and living in a house that we own that's looking at a lake. Like, living my best life and just feel so much love and abundance while growing an amazing business that allows women to feel the same way.
Actionable.
Do you want to walk into any room and have all eyes on you? Do you want to create content that speaks volumes no matter what platform you're on? Or do you want to create the right relationship or relationships, whether that be personally or professionally? Or do you want to have undeniable market presence and power in your industry? If you answered yes to any of these, then this video is for you. And I'll tell you this: confidence is not loud, it is quiet. You do not need to be rah rah loud, doing all this and that, just to have that presence. So, I'm going to show you all the things in order to do that in this video. I used to think that people who were loud and showing up and doing the most on social media, renting this house, or you not necessarily renting, but we think they own it, or having this car, or just going shopping here and doing this and doing that. Those were the people that were the most confident. But I realized it's not even that. It's the people who are very calm and content with themselves, who are just gracefully being observant and looking around and speaking with value, true value. Those are the people who have the most confidence. It's sad because we live in a world where people are constantly being loud, are constantly doing the most. And we think that that is the way that you get recognized, or that is the way that you can make a lot of money, or that is the way you can do all of these things. And you don't have to do that. Sometimes, if you can just say that one thing, sometimes, if you can just show up and be authentically yourself, that is what comes across and that is what attracts people to you, no matter what it is, no matter in life, no matter if it's in professional settings. That is what people will gravitate to. The person who can stay calm, the person who can just be in their own and just be present and not have to be all loud and jumping around and saying they have this and that. That's not what it is. So we're just going to talk about all the things to own your presence, have that quiet confidence that just exudes and attracts everything that you want and desire into your life, and that confidence that helps you show up so that you can be the best version of yourself in your relationships and your business, content that you're creating, how your wardrobe image. We're going to talk about those things today. Now, when I was in my 20s, I was a totally different person than I am today in my 30s. And I've had so many life transitions in so many different ways. So I was a basketball player and I played in college. While I was in college, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that. It was not in my heart. I played for years. It was big in my family. I thought that's what I wanted to do, but I thought I wanted to do it because that's what everybody in my family was doing. I was really good. I scored 1,000 points. It was this whole thing, but that just was not in my heart. And when I got to college, I found a fashion club, learned about fashion styling, and boom, I became a fashion stylist. Now, it did not happen overnight. Yes, I was styling people, but I didn't get into celebrity styling or commercial styling or red carpet styling or working with athletes and actresses until a few years later. However, that is a huge transition in itself. Going from playing basketball to now living in New York and Los Angeles, styling people for these major productions, working with different brands, helping with creativity. It's just a different mindset, a different shift. And it went from me showing up as a point guard, scoring and doing all these things in front of everybody, to really being behind the scenes and working with people and helping them build their confidence from the inside out through wardrobe, through understanding what their goals were, through just really trying to understand how to help them fully show up and feel their best, but through wardrobe. Along that time, I was also working with brands and helping them grow, helping them show up in the best way that they could visually. And that can be through a fashion brand, or it could be through an athletic brand like Under Armour or Pizza Hut, which are a few brands that I worked with. Again, that's still behind the scenes. Yes, I have a voice. Yes, I'm showing up and helping these people with these major names, but it's still kind of me in the background. And then I started coaching. I was teaching different stylists how to become stylists, how to get clients, and how to just show up online so that they could really be their true, authentic selves and attract their perfect, ideal client. That showed me so many different things because it showed me that people are really, they're needing help. They're needing help in business. They're needing help with how they show up in front of the camera. They're needing help in knowing how to do the business side of things, whether that be pulling clothes, sending invoices, or how to reach out to different clients, all of these different things. It also taught me that through working with different celebrities and, up and coming entrepreneurs, that we struggle a little bit when it comes to confidence and how we represent ourselves, how we speak about ourselves, how we show up in front of the camera, sometimes not even wanting to promote our businesses. And that was me for a while. Like, I just was not sure how to really show up and how to reach out to different people. And I remember, just this one time I said, you know what, I have a desire to build my business when it comes to working with athletes. And I put this deck together. I went online, I searched, and I got all these different managers, agents, athletes, and I just blasted out an email. Now, I would not recommend doing that because you want to make sure it's personal and very, very personal when you're sending out an email to an individual person. So, no, I wouldn't recommend that. But I'm just saying, I went ahead and I took the action in order to reach out to these people. And I ended up landing a Under Armour series where I was working with a ton of different athletes and musicians. It just showed that when I really believe in something that I'm doing, really believe in myself first and foremost, I can do anything. And I wanted to be able to share that with people. Not only that, just life, like learning as a stylist, people and what they feel about themselves, maybe self conscious about something on their body, or maybe, they have a red carpet to show up to and they're not feeling their best, helping them overcome mental life things, or mentally the things that are holding them back or maybe self sabotaging themselves. That's another area. So all of these things in my mind had me thinking, like, how can I really show up and help people overcome this confidence block? It's not about just, like I said, being loud and just doing the most and looking sceney, or just looking like you're doing something, but you really don't feel that way on the inside. It's not about that. I can even speak on experience about life changes where I'm, engaged and to be married, and I have a daughter, and the mental transition of me feeling like just my full self, as far as even just working out, being a size 125 to when I give birth 3 months later, still 160 pounds and working my way down and showing back up in front of the camera. And it's like, it's like so many things that happen in life from the time when you're 20 to the time when you're 30 to the time when you're 40. And they say that the older that you get, the more experienced and seasoned you are, so that you can really, really feel, the experience show up in what you're doing. Now, you don't necessarily have to have all this life experience and all these things to build your confidence. There are things that you can do right now to help build your confidence. And it was things that I was doing in my 20s that helped me build the confidence that I have today, even to feel the way that I do, coming from having a baby, transitioning my life from being single to married, and all these things. It's like there's so many different things that you can do, tools that will prepare you for that, so that when that time comes, you can own it with everything that you had. And so every reinvention that I had, it required a different mindset. It required me to rebuild my confidence. It required rebuilding sometimes self-worth and just identity, and just being like, okay, I'm no longer that person that I used to be. How do I show up fully as the person that I am today? That means my mindset. That means my business. Maybe you outgrew the content that you're creating and you feel stuck. That was me for a while. I absolutely love fashion styling. I still style to this day. I still work with clients individually to help transform their image. But it was just, I felt like there was something deeper. I started styling because I wanted to help people from the inside out. And I felt like as a stylist, yes, I could do that individually in a way, but not the way I really wanted to, which is how I fell into being a life coach. And so it helped because I was able to really understand and really guide along the way from my own experiences, but also just from studying and doing the things that I needed to do personally for myself in order to be able to help other people. And that included journaling, that included prayer. If I needed to wake up in the middle of the night praying, if that included reaching out and having therapy sessions, that included talking to my girls sometimes at night, that included me watching a TV show or binging, Married at First Sight or binging Atlanta Housewives or whatever it was to help get me back to this state, or even, cleaning out my closet and just making sure that the clothes that I had in there really represented the woman that I was becoming. And so all of these little steps, although they may not seem like a lot, they are huge because they are really helping you to show up for yourself every day. They're helping you to just become more confident in the woman that you were always destined to be, but also just show up in the next chapter of your life. Now, you may have a certain goal. Maybe that may be attracting the right person you want into your life, or maybe that may be building your online business or becoming a content creator or just growing in your business in the next chapter or going after a different position. Maybe you have that goal. But a lot of times we can get so overwhelmed with that goal, the end result, that we miss all the little teeny steps along the way that get us to that goal, but also get us into taking the action steps that we need to take consistently in order to hit that goal. And a lot of times, because we are so focused on that goal, we're missing those little steps and we are skipping steps that we said we were going to take in order to hit it. That alone can cause so much of your confidence to drop because you're telling yourself that you're going to do something and you're not showing up for yourself. You can show up for all these other people, but when it comes down to the time where you need to take that action step, you're not doing it. And every time you don't do it, you're literally just hitting it, like hitting away at your confidence until it's to the point where you're like, I'm not even, what goal? Like, what goal did I say I had? So you have to stay consistent with the small steps. So sometimes I don't even necessarily want to call it this big goal that I'm trying to hit. The transformation in life that you want is to be able to be free. Maybe it's to just live the best life that you want on your own time, on your own schedule, with your family, traveling, or maybe just being chill at the house. Maybe you want to be at a farm and you want your feet up and you just want to be cooking and just taking care of the home, but you don't want to feel the pressures of anything else, then maybe you just need to take those action steps each day to get there and not necessarily look at this big overall goal that seems so far away. Sometimes you just need little steps, and that's totally fine. And so that's really what I created. My new book is called Own Your Presence. We're going to talk about the 4 steps to building that quiet confidence so that this huge goal that you may have, this huge life transformation that you have won't seem so far away. And until you can really understand that mindset, then you're going to feel stuck. And I don't want you guys to feel stuck because I was there, I felt it. I mean, I can remember times where I just, man, just sitting. I can literally remember in my apartment in Los Angeles on my knees crying, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like, I'm just like stuck. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, I just need to figure this out. And then who would have known that less than 5 years later, I would be married with a child and living in a house that we own that's looking at a lake. Like, living my best life and just feel so much love and abundance while growing an amazing business that allows women to feel the same way. But let's break down what quiet confidence really looks like and is. And I did this in my book, and I also did it in a way where it would be very easy to understand and take action steps today. So let's first talk about 3 key traits that are in women with quiet confidence. Women with confidence are aware, very aware. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and they own every part of that. They don't need external validation and they trust themselves. Now, let's break that down a little bit before we go into the next one. Women that are aware of their strengths and weaknesses excel. Now, let's talk about it as far as professionally. I know when I first started out with my YouTube channel, I was filming so much, editing so much, and it literally felt like I was starting another full-time job. And I'm like, this is not what I thought it was. Now, yes, you do need to put the work in to create your content. You do need to put the work in to becoming monetized, which means being consistent and showing up and being true to yourself and being authentic and showing up in front of the camera as your natural self, not forced, not anything like that. And so my strength is that I can literally just sit in front of the camera and talk. Like I can talk to you like I'm talking to one of my girlfriends. But the part of me that I built a good skill in, which was video editing, was not my strength. And for the longest time, it was so hard for me to be like, I need to just outsource some of this stuff so I'm not feeling overwhelmed and I can still be present and I can still do the things that I really want to do because I genuinely love creating content. But I also feel like it's just so much when I got to edit my video. And so I finally got a video editor. And when I tell you, it feels so much better being able to create content and outsource that skill to someone who actually genuinely loves it the way I genuinely love to show up in the camera. Boom. It feels amazing. Two, you can literally just focus on the things that you are great at and you don't have to worry about the rest. You can show up on camera, you can create the content that you want, you can outsource to someone who does their expertise the best, and it's just a consistent flow going there. And it doesn't feel like you dreading what you really want to do, which maybe is filming content because you don't know how to edit. Now, I won't say that you want to just outsource everything, but you need to focus on the things that you love to do because that way you'll show up as your best self. And then when it comes to staying confident and trusting yourself, like trusting yourself means showing up. It means being consistent. It means keeping your word to yourself because if you can't keep your word to yourself, then who are you going to keep your word to? Like you have to keep your word to yourself in order to actually have the transformation that you want in your life. It starts right there. Keep your word to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. Like that's integrity right there. You need to have integrity with yourself. So the next one is a woman with quiet confidence is also calm. She's calm, and that doesn't mean timid, that doesn't mean shy, that doesn't mean, like I don't want to put my hand up, not like in school, but it doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you are confidently just sitting there observing, adding value, and you're not worried about anything other than that. I'll give you a clear example. Like, I know I said this in another video, but I love Rihanna because she can just walk into a room and you can tell she is just authentically herself. You can't really think of anybody in the music industry who really is just themselves, or in the entertainment industry, period. Like, I just feel like so many people are trying to be somebody that they're not. And it's because they're looking at so many other people and they're not just owning who they are. Like, I love her because she stayed true to her family, she's true to her friends, she's always had them around, and she's built her business, but when she shows up she just seems fun and inviting and just down to earth, like not doing the most. She just has fun, she's confident, she owns any room that she's in, she has direct eye contact, she just listens, and she's just very open, you know and so that is still calmness. That's not loud, that's not doing the most, that's still calm. And that's why I love her so much. All right, now the next trait is authenticity. Like, just be you. There is no other person like you. I know people say that all the time on the internet, and it's like, I guess it's easier said than done. And I'm going to tell you the things that you can do just so you can just fully be you and not worry about anything or anybody else on the internet. People want to see realness. People want to see you show up as your true self because it's going to help them show up as their true self. I'm watching, I don't remember what it was. I was watching something on YouTube and somebody literally commented to the girl, I just love you because you're showing up as yourself. Like I can feel it. I can feel how genuine you are. You're just so funny and you're just so, and she was just like, thank you so much. Like you can tell when someone genuinely loves what they're doing, where they're showing up and it doesn't feel like work, or they're showing up in a relationship and it doesn't feel forced and they can just be themselves. That's when you know you've met the right person, when you can truly just be yourself. You don't have to worry about anything. You could chill on a couch, you could go to on a vacation, you could do whatever you want, and it just feels like it's your best friend. You can just be you. And that is what authenticity is. That is just being true to yourself. When you can do that, you can own who you are. You don't have to worry about anything else. That's when all the abundance and overflow comes in. Okay, now I know I mentioned my new book coming out, and that's Own Your Presence. I broke these down into 4 different phases. And I want to just go over the phases really quickly so that you can understand them and start to implement them now. Now, the first one is awareness. We talked a little bit about that. When you own your presence and you have that quiet confidence, you are very aware. And the best way to become more aware of who you are and owning your identity is taking time to self, whether that be meditating, whether that be journaling. I can even give some prompts on the things that you can use using AI to help you just tap in. You don't realize what AI is doing right now, but it is absolutely amazing. You can use it as a tool to really tap into yourself. You can use it as a tool to have it give you prompts to journal so that you can really understand and become more aware of yourself and your identity or even your business. So you can actually type in who your perfect ideal customer is, and it can help you fully become aware of who that is in every aspect: what they do, where they live, how they show up for themselves, what they wear, where they shop, what they're scrolling on social media, who their favorite people are that they follow, what books they read, what TV shows they watch. All of that information you can find. You can do the same for yourself using AI, journaling prompts, therapy session prompts, things that can help you start to just really understand yourself. Now, when it comes to journaling, I think that's the best way to start when you are trying to understand and become more aware of the things you want in life, not necessarily the goals, but the transformation that you want in life. When you write things down, it draws something out of you, and it's an energy that comes out of you that it kind of just shifts you into motion after you finish. And it's like a reliever, like a stress reliever, where it just helps you become more calm and you can really just, it's an amazing tool that you can use. And I promise you, if you start consistently doing that, that alone will change your life. If you show up every day for yourself and journal, even if it's 5, 10 minutes, you can ask ChatGPT or Claude, give me, a 30-day prompt that I can use in my journal where it'll help me become more aware and present of myself, of the dreams and goals that I have. Like it'll give you those prompts. Another good thing with journaling is uncovering what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. Being able to write down what the things are that you genuinely really love, and maybe asking a prompt like, what are the things that I'm currently doing in my role, and you list those out that can help me fully show up in my business or help me fully show up in my relationship. How can I become the best version of myself by doing these things? And it'll help you with that as well, so that you can 10x where you're trying to go by focusing on the things that you're best at, the things that you love. So it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like overwhelmingness. It just feels like effortless. That is literally the first thing that I did was journal, meditate, work out, my routines, making sure that I was consistently doing those things because that helped me. I think because I was an athlete for so long, if I don't work out for like a consecutive amount of time, that could be just 7 days. If I don't work out at least once, I feel so tired. And so for me, I know that I need to show up and do something active at least 3 times a week so that I don't feel like that. That is something that I became very aware of about myself. So you need to find the things that are for you, the things that will help you show up every day so that you can just, and it doesn't have to be physically working out every day, but whatever those things are that you can create, that you are aware of, that will help you Those are the things that you need to uncover first. So I challenge you, get a new journal and go on Claude or go on ChatGPT and ask it those prompts so that you can start a daily journal for yourself. I mean, maybe you don't even need that. Maybe you just know that you want to sit down and journal something. Do it every day. Do it consistently. Do it at least. Do it this week. Do it every day this week. I challenge you to do that. And I want you to come back and tell me how you feel. If you're still with me in this video, tell me how you feel. I would love to know. All right, the next one is going to be alignment. Once you become aware, once you know what those things are that are your strengths and your weaknesses, once you know the things that you want in life, once you know that transformation that you actually want, alignment is when you start taking those actions towards it. You're very clear. You're very clear in the things that you need to do. You're very clear in knowing those next steps. And so now it's about taking the consistent action. And the reason to do that is because it's going to start building your confidence. You're going to start feeling so much better. You're going to start showing up so much better. Even when you just speak to someone, it's going to just come across so differently. People are going to say you have this glow about you. People are going to want to hear what you have to say. People are going to realize that you have true value because you've already become aware of your strength and what you are doing. And it's just going to be so effortless. So, for example, well, when I was transitioning from basketball player to fashion stylist, that was a whole shift. Like I had to really get clear on the things that I needed to do to become a stylist, and it took me some time. And that's why I created the course that I have on the Stylist Starter Kit, because I wanted to cut the time for people who are just so lost and confused on where to get started, because it is a journey, y'all. People don't want to talk about it, and it's as if it's just so scarce, and it's not a business for it or anything like that. No, it truly is, and it comes with you being clear on who your client is going to be and clear on just a few other things. That's a whole nother another story. But what I'm saying is I had to get clear on all of those things, and then I put the actions behind it, and boom, I started getting clients. Boom, I started working with Pizza Hut. I worked with Sony. I worked with CBS. I worked with these different brands. I worked with Under Armour. And it wasn't until I got clear on what I was doing that those clients started to come in, clear on my messaging to them, clear on what it was that I said when I reached out to them, clear on my branding, which is so important no matter what industry you're in. And when I say branding, I don't just mean what you have on, like your wardrobe. I mean how you show up online. Your social media, if you Google, when you Google yourself, what do you see? If you don't see anything, you need to be showing up, because no matter what business you have, people are going to be searching for you and they're going to be looking for your brand, which means they're going to want to see if you're being consistent, which means they're going to want to show if you have any type of presence out there, because it builds trust. It builds trust. And that's why starting with building trust and consistency with yourself, it goes everywhere. So once you're committed and consistent to showing up for yourself, keeping your word to yourself, and it represents in your work, it represents in the things that you're putting out on social media. And that is what creating alignment, and it's what creating those action steps so that you are showing up in a way that will allow not just people professionally, but also in your relationships to know that you are truly aligned with yourself. So, the action step that I would give for being clear and aligned, let's say, you are wanting to show up on social media or on your YouTube channel and you want to get clear on that. I think that because you've already become aware of what you love to do, then you need to go ahead back to ChatGPT, ask for some different ideas on topics that you can create based around what your strengths are, based around what you're comfortable talking about, based around what you know that you can easily add value to someone's life with. That's what you want to do. And so give me 10 topics that I can talk about. And then take it a step further, give me 10 topics with 4 bullet points that I can talk about, that I can flow from, and see what it gives you and just go from there. That is your action step for alignment. The next one is going to be authenticity. Authenticity is crucial. I know I sound like I'm repeating these things, but authenticity is crucial. You have to just do you. When you go online and you're looking at references or you're looking at ideas, it's nothing wrong with that. but you want to make sure that you have your own touch on it. You want to be true to yourself because nobody wants to hear the same thing over and over. And somebody may really resonate with your story alone, not anybody else's. So you have to be true to yourself, be authentic, even when you're showing up in your relationships. Authenticity also comes with vulnerability. And so when you're in your relationships and you don't want to share, or you're not showing up consistently, or you're not able to just open up in a way that allows a person to feel that they can trust you, whether it be something they share or something you tell them, then it's not going to be authentic, and it will not last. And so you have to be vulnerable in a way that allows people to really trust you and understand. I mean, vulnerability doesn't have to be you crying or you breaking down and going over all your traumatic life experiences. It doesn't have to be that. If you can literally sit down, keep eye contact with somebody, and they can feel that you're listening to them and you are actually listening to them, and that you can maybe add some value. Or sometimes people just want you to listen. Sometimes I used to struggle with that because I always felt like, okay, well, I have the solution, or I know I have the answer to that. And sometimes people really just want you to sit there and listen. They just need an ear, they need a shoulder. And that is a part of being vulnerable too. So it's like you really just have to calm, just listening, just understanding, just being observant, just being able to read the room and just understand when it's time to add value, when it's time to just sit, when it's time to just be present. So think about where you are in your life. Where is it that you feel like you're not authentically showing up? Maybe it's not online. Maybe it's in your relationship. Maybe you are holding back something, or maybe you just feel like you can't fully open up. Well, one, I think you should really tap into seeing why that is. A lot of times we may be pushing it on someone else when really it's us. It has nothing to do with the other person, but sometimes it may be that other person that you need to push to the side and get some new friends. And there's nothing wrong with that, because as you transition in life, you do need to reevaluate your relationships, because you may be stagnant because of the relationships that you're around. So you have to let go and just elevate and grow. And it doesn't mean you don't love that person. It doesn't mean they're not supposed to be in your life at all anymore. But sometimes you need to set that boundary. And there's nothing wrong with that. So reevaluate some of the relationships that you have. Figure out where you're not fully showing up authentically as yourself, whether it be in your relationship, whether it be in your business. Are you fronting? Are you faking? What is it that is holding you back? Because when you are not showing up authentically as yourself, people can feel that. People can feel that, and that's not it's not okay. It's not going to last, and it's not going to get you to where you want to be and truly feel, in this transition of your life, so that you can fully be transformed into just owning everything that you are, everything that you are destined to have and be. So just as important as being aware is, just as important as being aligned is, just as true as being authentic is, taking the action steps too. Like there's this show I'm sure you've heard of called The Secret. I love The Secret, the movie, the book, but I know that there was a lot of controversy around it because it talked a lot about mindset and meditating and owning it and making sure that you feel it and you can manifest it, which all are true, but you still got to take the actions to do it. So just like you may have that dream or goal of meeting someone, and you're just sitting in the house and you're not doing anything to actually get out there and meet somebody. Like, I felt like I was doing that for a really long time. And I actually even just signed up for Bumble. And look, that's how I found my husband. I was sitting on the couch. I knew I wasn't going to be out at the club or at the bars. And I knew that's not where I wanted to meet somebody anyway. I knew I wasn't going to be at the grocery store. I mean, I could have, but that's not what it was. I put myself in a position where I was able to actually meet somebody. So taking that action step. Or even when I was a stylist and I was trying to transition in the type of clients that I was bringing in, I created a portfolio around that, created a portfolio without getting paid to create a portfolio. I put the actions behind, the energy behind what it was that I was really trying to do, and boom, it happened. And when you take action, it's like you're shooting out to the universe that this is what you're trying to bring in. It's like planting a seed. You're planting that seed so that it can blossom, it can grow. And when you plant a seed, how much abundance comes from one seed? You plant one seed, and how much flowers blossom from one seed, or how many leaves blossom from one seed. So just imagine that one action step. Even if you're taking one action step every day, it's going to go a long way, and it's going to be so much abundance that comes in. So, like I said, I created my portfolio. I did that for free. I reached out to some people that I knew, sorry, I reached out to some athletes that I knew, a few different people like that I worked with prior, but I knew I needed a fresh portfolio. I did that. I got the wardrobe myself. I did all of these things, put the energy behind it, and boom, I got a job with Under Armour, or boom, I got a job with Pizza Hut, or boom, I got these things that happen for me, in that season of my life. Or even now, boom, I've been building my YouTube channel, and I'm still building it. And I slowed down a little bit once I had a baby, but I am now creating with more intention. Yes, I was creating before with intention, but this work is deeper. It feels good, and it feels like I'm able to put everything in one. So, fashion styling, brand strategy, life coaching, all of these things all wrapped in one. It just feels amazing, and I'm creating intentional content on it, but I'm taking the actions behind it. The book that I've written, knowing that it is so powerful, and the tools that it'll create and help somebody change their life in less than 90 days, so that they can show up in their relationship, so they can show up in their business, so they can show up as a content creator, they can show up as the entrepreneur woman that they're destined to be, that they already are, that sometimes in their mind they just have to rebuild that self-worth, rebuild that self-esteem, rebuild that confidence. That's what Own Your Presence is about. Because sometimes as women, we go through things, we go through life transitions, we all do. But it's just about being able to use the right tools to re-tap into who you know you are. Like, who you know you are, and elevating to that next level, that next chapter of your life. That's what it's about. Owning your presence, having that quiet confidence, being the woman that you know you're supposed to be, being the woman that you already are. So if this video resonated with you in any way, I would love to know. I will leave a few links down in the description for you. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on here or on Instagram. Bree Wise Style is on both platforms. Easily find me. I'm here for you guys, and I'm so excited for this next chapter, not just for myself, but for you, because I know that it is going to be so transformational, not just because it's happened in my life, but because of the women that I've already been able to help, and the people in my life that I've already been able to help with these tools, with this strategy. I guess you want to call it a strategy. It's not a strategy. It is owning your presence and owning who you are, so that you show up in life. Your identity is clear. You know who you are, and it's just effortless, no matter what it is that you're doing. So again, I hope that you love this video. If you did, make sure you share it with somebody that you love. And I will see you guys in the next video.